like to call ourselves the gateway to the category. We
Okay.
want to bring people from tequila over to mezcal so you can explore what agave spirits also have to offer. Less smoky. I really hate the term smoky. I like the word roasted because really what you're tasting is like barbecue. And what I really like about that is I can just make citrus cocktails all day that will just really taste bright, clean. And I think it actually really brings up the citrus notes that I like. And you
Mm.
get a little bit of smoke, but it's not overbearing. So you get a lot of that like easy drinking with some earthy aromas.
Obviously, the bottles themselves are where all the power is. So let's
Yeah.
go label and then taste, aroma, etc. But let's head to the bottle itself.
Yeah. So, I mean, people love our labels. Our branding is top notch. It's the first compliment we always get. Oh my God, I love your branding. And so, like the two labels that people are most, well, we have three. We have the Ancestral and we have the Desert Water coming back out too.
Okay.
But as far as the red label, it's the woman on the bull, and it's a really beautiful message of like Mother Earth coming down and like starting to share humanity and move across the world to plant and spread like love. And that's why she's on the bull. Is it's like it's the combination of animal, Mother Earth, and humans. And then the black label is a beautiful logo of a woman on the ground. She looks like she's planting, and it is. It's her planting and spreading the seed of life that gives us agave and flowers and fruit and vegetables and everything else. So, and then the ancestral is this beautiful clay bottle with like all of this like what's the proper word for the old clay vessels from Greece and stuff that carried wine, but it looks like one of those with the fluid coming out, and it's supposed to celebrate the ancestral way of making mezcal in clay pots and clay distillation. And back before they had barrels, they would transport stuff in clay. And then I always love telling the story. People go, well, mezcal is not supposed to be aged, which is a true-ish statement in my opinion.
Mhm.
But back in the day, everything got transferred in barrels. So mezcal would accidentally get aged in barrels because it would travel from town to town on horseback after the product was made. So the idea that mezcal was never aged is it wasn't aged on purpose, but I like to think that mezcal was accidentally aged in wood. The traditional way that people would age mezcal is in glass, and they would hide it underground. And I always tell people if you have a beautiful bottle of mezcal, you should open it and take it out and put a wine cork in it, or at least crack the bottle and get some air because it really lets alcohol as a compound open up and aerate. That's why, like, you swish and you aerate wine. It's the same. People need to do that with their spirits. Mezcal benefits great from a resting period, like pouring it in a nice open glass, like a snifter or a wine glass,
Mhm.
letting it sit for about 5-10 minutes will
Hmm.
really open it up. So
It makes a lot of sense. Like the decanting it basically.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And the one thing I love, and the next step we're going to is tasting notes, is the juice actually holds up to the bottle. Because I can't tell you how many times I've bought a bottle of wine, a cider, anything just because the packaging was so good and it doesn't always live up to it. And on the flip side, one of my favorite rums in the world, it's called Three Rivers, and it's an agricole. It's 149 proof, but the bottle looks like a kid hand drew the label and it's got a twist cap on top. And when I bought it, I was like, I'm not paying $80 for this. And now I want to find another bottle and I just can't find it anywhere because it's super hard to find as an import. But never, I guess, trust a book by its cover. But also, I'm happy that our book is as good as the cover.
Right.
So, the tasting notes, Madre is designed to be less less smoky. I really hate the term smoky. I like the word roasted because really what you're tasting is like barbecue. Like you wouldn't say like a barbecue. I guess you could say barbecue tastes smoky, but I really what you are is you're tasting the roasting of the agave and the charcoaling and the burning of the outside agave, which will affect the sugars, the caramelization, and all that. But that is my gripe with smoky, and then I'm going to use the word smoky again. So Madre really was designed to be a more approachable mezcal. One of our taglines is we like to call ourselves the gateway to the category. We
Okay.
want to bring people from tequila over to mezcal so you can explore what agave spirits also have to offer. And I mean that in not only as someone who's selling product, but check out Raicias and Bacanoras. And there's just this wealth of other agave categories that people just don't know. And
Mhm.
Raicilla is one of my favorite categories outside of mezcal. And it's basically mezcal made in tequila territory but they can't call it tequila and they can't call it mezcal because it's not certified there. So it's the Raicilla. And it's all along the coast of Jalisco and stuff like that. It's beautiful, beautiful category.
Oh my gosh.
But that being said, for the tasting notes for the
Yeah.
Espadin,
Yeah.
it's 80 proof by design. We wanted a lower proof to make it more approachable to the American palate. We may actually be raising it a little bit because now we're finding that bartenders and people are ready for a little bit more kick. So, but we'll
Hmm.
see. That's later down the line. Right now, it is 80 proof. It's really known because it's bright, clean, and smooth. I always compare it to a really nice, well-made tequila, but this
Hmm.
one has because a really beautiful like a Fortaleza or an Ocho. Like these are beautiful tequilas made in a traditional way. And our Espadin is because Espadin is actually a close cousin of Blue Weber. Um, a lot of people don't realize that they're actually cousins. They're in the same family.
Okay.
That both take about 6 to 8 years to grow. There's a lot of similarities. They grow the largest, the quickest, and the fastest. That's why they're the most economical of agaves.
See.
So, to me, it tastes like a really bright, clean, and smooth, almost Blue Weber esque in a sense. But then you're going to get some of that minerality and that smoke on the end that you don't get from tequila because you're not actually roasting the agave underground. You're cooking with steam or in an autoclave or with diffusers. So you get a lot of that like easy drinking with some earthy aromas.
Mhm.
Um, so like a lot of people get different things. Palates are so different. Other people tell me they get ginger and pine and like some sandalwood. I really get this really nice, big, bright, soft finish with some minerality. Like to me, it's a
Nice.
really clean taste.
Yes.
And what I really like about that is I can just make citrus cocktails all day that will just really taste bright, clean. And I think it actually really brings up the citrus notes that I like. And you
Mm.
get a little bit of smoke, but it's not overbearing and it's not just going to wash over the cocktail. Because a lot of other Espadines I take that are like, entry level pricing,
Mhm.
they just seem to be overly smoked. And it's just kind of like anytime I taste that, almost a chemical taste, I am always wondering what they're covering up because I believe a lot of the beautiful nuances are behind the smoke. And
Mm.
if all I'm getting from you is those overly roasted notes, then I'm just really wondering, was the agave mature? Are you getting good sugars? And a lot of those questions. So,
That night when I met you, what you handed me was my first taste of the night, just in general. And I love that A, it was so pure and smooth. B, it didn't clog up my mouth for the rest of the night. It wasn't that thick and heavy.
well, I was bummed you guys came late and you got to taste our Espadin and our Ensemble. And I gave you guys a little bit more, but I made a white Negroni with the Ensemble
Ooh.
and you guys got there too late. And it's one of my favorite cocktails to do with the Ensemble, which is the red label, as a lot of people call it. And
Okay.
that's actually a blend of Espadin and Quiche.
Okay.
And it's the Jose's family recipe I mentioned earlier, but it's 90 proof and it's a more traditional expression of mezcal at the higher proof. But that to me is like it's still my favorite out of our line. Our Ancestral is a beautiful handmade product, and I'm not discounting it. But I'm a drinker. I'm Irish. My family likes to drink. I'm like you. I want to have 2 to 3 cocktails a night. I don't want to just have one and like my palate's done. And our Ensemble is still to this day, I think I can't find a better bottle of mezcal for the dollar in the US.
Right.
It's like you're getting so much wild agave for such a decent price point. And it's like the Espadin to me is a 2 to 3 second palate. After 2 to 3 seconds, it kind of clears up and you get like a breath and it's kind of fading.
Right.
Our ensemble to me goes on for like 10, 12 seconds, and it goes from sweet vanilla to chocolate to mineral and then to smoke, but then the smoke fades and you get just like this really beautiful crisp, and it's viscous. Like you can feel the oil in your mouth when like you swirl it around, and it makes the best Negroni in my opinion. For the like, don't get me wrong, there's other mezcals I would love to make Negronis with, but they're so expensive that I would never ruin an expensive bottle with a cocktail like that. And our ensemble is still at a good price point that like it, the white Negroni with our ensemble is maybe my favorite cocktail to make.
Ryan, as we wrap up, let's talk about where can we learn more about Madre Mezcal? Where can we buy it? Where should we be visiting to find out more about it?
We have a beautiful Instagram online. Madremezcal.com is our website. We also have this Instagram called mezcal.learning, and it really is an easy way. It's an Instagram, and it's a little short videos and little blurbs to talk about production, families, history, and culture. It's most of your nicer bottle shops, liquor stores. In California, we're lucky enough to be in Trader Joe's for the Espadin, and Whole Foods has our Ensemble, which I always say support your local liquor store if you can. They're going to have much better stuff. But at the same time, I understand times are rough, and the pricing at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods is fantastic. And if for some reason you can't find it, you go to madremezcal.com. We ship bottles to almost every state in the U.S. I'm just excited to see the culture of mezcal just expand beyond just America. And we're actually now in 9 countries too.